Hey, welcome back. This is Let's Eat Orlando with Amy Drew and Biggie, and we just had breakfast.
We did. We had a bagel date.
We did. We had a bagel breakfast with bagels from many places, and you know, it's a point of division, I think, among people sometimes, as so many foods are. It really should be something that's a little more, hey, can't we all just agree to disagree? But there's a lot of debate. Maybe it's the season.
It could be. It could be the season. I also think it's just the fact that I think the bagel is definitely one of those topics where, like, what's considered a good bagel, what's not considered a good bagel. I mean, there's some we figured out during our time eating bagels. We agree very much on.
But that's the whole thing, though. It's not a what you think. It's just that's what it is. If you don't like those bagels, then maybe you just don't like bagels. That's the way It's like, I don't like fishy fish. Well, maybe you just don't like fish, you know? Bagels are thing. These facts that we've discussed. That's what a bagel is. So if you think that it doesn't need that, then you just like bread and you don't mind eating something round with a hole in it and calling it a bagel. But there are qualities that a bagel has to have.
Correct. Like bagels, just like right off the bat, let's like plain fact. Bagels, only bread that is boiled before being baked.
Has to be boiled, then baked. Or it's not a bagel.
Correct.
It's just not.
And you know, that's definitely one of the big things. So let's talk a little bit about we went and we picked up bagels from random places. Mm-hmm. Well, not random, but we picked bagels that kind of we knew that we wanted to try, and we went to a few bagel places, picked up some bagels, sat down and enjoyed it. I also got introduced to something that Amy Drew made me, pickled herring, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Creamed herring, yes.
Herring and cream sauce.
We'll definitely talk about all that. But let's first kind of talk, since we're talking bagels. Let's first talk about what is your favorite. Like when you go to a bagel shop, is there like a particular bagel, not like bagel place, but a particular bagel that you get? Like, is it always like in everything and plain? What's your go-to?
I would say that everything is probably the most common. Am I eating it in the car? It usually doesn't affect it. I mean, it might if I'm going someplace where I need to not have crumbs all over me. But generally speaking, yeah, probably everything. Every now and then, though, you know, my decadent grab is the salt bagel. Because they almost always have too much salt on them, and I have to knock a lot of it off. But that is a decadent favorite for me. I don't always partake, but I do like them. And
I know you like to eat and drive.
I don't like to.
Yeah, I know, but you do.
I do.
But what's your usual, like when you do that? Like I call it like a road bagel or a travel bagel. What do you have, like a travel bagel? Like if you ever order and you're like, oh, I'm going to get a travel bagel as well, or does it not matter? You just grab one of the bagels from the bag.
Well, sometimes I would say probably 9 times out of 10, I just grab a bagel from the bag and I eat the bagel plain, and that's that. And it's nice and easy. I don't have to worry about getting cream cheese on me. But if I do get cream cheese on the bagel, and this is pretty much the only instance where I eat bagels like sandwiches.
Yes.
I should note this. When I have cream cheese on a bagel, I eat it open faced. I like open faced for bagels. But I will eat them closed in the car, obviously, for convenience. If it's Jeff's, I like the chive and onion cream cheese. That's what I like. And then at other places, if they have a lox cream cheese that has the lox already, little chunks of it in there, that's usually my go-to.
Okay. That for me, I usually will get a plain bagel and just be like, throw a plain bagel on there. If I get a half a dozen, I'm like, give me an extra bagel.
Like the rosemary salt.
Rosemary salt is very good. I was not familiar to it. Was not something. I'm not usually a salt person.
They go light. They have a light
but they
hand.
do a good job. They do a good job on it.
I never had a rosemary salt bagel before Jeff's. It's kind of a newer kind of gourmet selection. Like I didn't grow up with rosemary salt bagels.
Yeah.
There was no rosemary near the bagels. There was salt though.
Yeah. There was like back in the day for me it was like salt, plain, everything.
Cinnamon raisin.
Yeah. Or like sesame. Mm-hmm. Or poppy.
And sometimes they had a whole wheat.
Yeah.
And there's one place that I went in South Florida that I liked that had rye.
Okay.
And that was really good. That was a favorite of mine. But that was the only place I ever I ever went to that had like a rye bagel with caraway seeds in it. It was good.
So let's talk a little bit about things that you and I pretty much it was like as we were talking we agreed. It was like it was very matter of fact for both of us.
Yeah, I loved it.
There wasn't actually much.
Yeah,
not much discussion when it came to some of this stuff. But I want to kind of go over it. Just because I'm kind of curious on what our listeners are thinking, and some of the things that we talked about. One thing that we talked about was for sure when you're going to go pick up bagels from a bagel spot, what is the carrier of the bagels when you're leaving the place? How is it? How do they bag it up?
If it's not paper, be sus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bagels, all fresh bread belongs in a paper bag if you have to put it in a bag. That's where it should be. It should not be anywhere near plastic.
Yeah. And if it's plastic, there better be a paper bag that's holding those bagels, and then the plastic bag just making it for convenience handles. But for the most part, it's got to be a paper bag.
Yep.
No ifs, ands, or buts on that. I'm also kind of curious, especially depending if you go to a bagel shop, where they kind of hold the bagels or put the bagels.
Basket.
Yeah, I usually it's got to be a wire basket. I've seen it also like the spindles or what is it called? The dowels, the wooden dowels.
That's like kind of, it works, but it just seems needlessly labor intensive and fancy.
Correct.
But if you like it,
visually it looks good. So I get that. It's kind of like the same idea if you did it for donuts.
Yeah,
so
it's
I get
very
it.
bougie.
Yeah.
But it won't hurt the bagels.
Correct. It works. So that's definitely what we've seen. Now let's go first visually. When you go to look at a bagel, let's talk a little bit about some of that. Like one of the things that we saw, because we looked at quite a bit of bagels, and there are some things that you automatically will stand out when you see it.
Right.
What do you think? What are like some of the things you're automatically like, I'm looking for these things, these characteristics?
You want to see a shiny exterior. Wherever there's not topping, obviously there's going to be toppings on it. But in the spaces where you don't see toppings, there should be a sheen on the bagel that says, I was boiled.
Yeah.
It says, I was boiled. Also, the bagel, if it's boiled fresh and then baked, it's not going to be particularly flat on the baked side. It might be it's slightly flat. Like you'll be able to see that there's a bake mark, like it's browner on the pan side. But bagels that are very, very flat on one side and rounded on the other, that's a big warning sign, not a bagel.
Correct. Was not boiled.
Was not boiled because a boiled bagel's in water, so it's going to rise.
Yep, plump up, get a little bit of that rounded, get that roundedness to it.
Exactly.
So, and those are some of the big ones that we definitely were able to you can kind of tell when you start looking at them. And one of the things that we thought was interesting, because as we sampled bagels, we tried a variety. So we kind of, we tried a little bit of everything. We went with like a plain, we did an everything, we did an egg bagel, we did a cinnamon raisin bagel. And then
they all shared these qualities.
Correct.
The shiny and the chew. The chew is probably like, if you're tasting it, the most important thing. A boiled bagel will have a very specific chewiness that you were saying. It almost makes your jaw hurt a little bit. Like, a bagel is going to fight you a little on the outside. It's chewy.
And that's one of the big things. And it's funny because you made a comment as we were eating it. You're like, oh, you should be able to grab the dough, the inside of it, and make it into like a little ball.
And you finished my sentence.
Yeah, because that's something like, it's something very similar to the fact, because for me, I'm originally from New Jersey, so I've been eating bagels for a long time, and that used to be one of my things. When I used to caddy in the summer, I would
scoop out the inside.
I would break it up in quarters, and I would like take the inside and I would roll them up and eat it, and like just because like I wanted the crust, the little crustiness as another part of it. Is like almost like you're eating, like it's like that's the beauty of it.
It's not like fluffy bread. Yes, it's fluffy. There's a quality to it, but it's not the same as like a fluffy French bread or a fluffy. It's got this kind of doughy. You can mold it into like a little dough ball.
Yeah.
And flick it at somebody if you wanted to. It's dense. It's got like a chewy density to it.
Yeah, and the big reason for that obviously is the idea of the malt. Is that not right when you get to boiled, or at least how that in that aspect of it?
I'm not a pro baker. I don't know if the malt imparts anything but a very, very light sweetness, because in Montreal style bagels, which are just as legit, it's just a different style, they use maple syrup, which is cute because it's Canada, right? It makes sense, as the sweetening agent in the water. And that's also something that happens when you make a bagel. You have to have some kind of an agent like that. I don't know if the malt has anything to do with that per se, but proofing the bagel, just like the way dough proofing,
Yes.
letting it rise, that's important. So
Yep.
obviously, I would say minimum 24 hours you're going to want on that.
Yeah, the overnight, you want the overnight proof. You want the overnight, process to proof it. Definitely like the malt. I pretty much have heard if it's not with malt, it won't have an authentic taste. Like it needs to have, and especially if you're going to do like a traditional bagel, not a Montreal type bagel.
Yeah, that's like a New York style
New
or
York
an
style
American
bagel.
style bagel,
Correct.
whatever you want to call it. And yeah, Montreal bagels also very good. I want to stress that I've had good Montreal bagels. They're very good. They're just slightly different, but they have all these same qualities. They're boiled, they're baked, they have the sweetening agent, all of that.
And obviously you made a comment when we started talking about bagels that I loved, which is the idea that if you're not boiling them, then they're basically rolls with holes.
Yeah, it's not. I think somebody else used that phrase
Yeah.
to me a long time ago. But yeah, that's what it is. It's bread. You can taste the difference, and I know you can because you did it without any prompting from me. You were like,
Correct.
"This tastes like bread. Doesn't
Yeah.
taste right." And really, just go get good bread. If the bagels that you have are like that, there are good bagels here. It's not as easy to find as in New York and New Jersey, where probably everybody's pretty much doing it right. And if they're not, you have multiple options in or around your town. But there's no excuse. There are some places with good bagels here, so don't stand for that. Don't stand for that round bread thing.
And obviously the holes, the reason that they have the holes is to make them bake faster. So that's like one of the big reasons why that was one of the reasons why they would do it like that for bagels. I definitely think since we are a show about, eating in Orlando, I definitely want to highlight some of these places that we've eaten at or that we enjoy. We're never going to be the ones to talk evil of anybody. But at the same time, I want to at least show love to the ones that we've enjoyed and we recommend it. And a lot of it obviously is based on how far are you willing to travel, where you want to go, and things like that. Because obviously there are a lot of bagel places.
This is one of the nice things about Jeff's, though, because Jeff's is now proliferating. So, they're close to a lot of people now.
Correct. And when she means Jeff's Jeff's Bagel Run. If you have not been to one, I will definitely seal of approval on our end. They do a heck of a job. There's a reason why they were like third place, I think, in the like New York Bagel Fest in New York.
Yeah, they won well outside of any atmosphere here in Orlando. So, if you don't want to take our word for it.
Correct.
Take the bagel pros at the bagel conventions word for it.
And that's what I told my friends that live in New Jersey. They're like, you don't know what bagels. And I was like, well, my local bagel guy, he just got third place in a bagel fest in New York. So like, what are you going to tell me now? And that which to me also then answers the question of, I know a lot of people talk about how the water plays a factor.
Doesn't matter.
I don't think it doesn't
matter for pizza. It
Correct.
Doesn't matter for bagels. You just need to have water.
Yeah.
That's what I say. Because you need to boil the bagels.
Yeah, keyword.
Clean water to boil your bagels, but it doesn't have to be from New York. It does not have to be from New York.
So
bagels were invented in Poland.
Yeah.
Just so everybody's clear on that.
Yeah.
New York might have made them world famous, but that's not where they're from.
So let's talk. So we obviously so Jeff's Bagel Run we definitely we enjoy. Some other bagel places that you enjoy a good bagel from, Amy Drew.
Well, we can always talk about Bagel King, and I'm sorry, Bagel King. I want to skip over you for a minute just because there's this place. I'm always very skeptical about these other places, and I don't know their whole deal. But there's a spot that opened in Oviedo not that long called the New York Bakery Boys. And they are, for those of you, I want to reiterate, this is not a bagelry the way Jeff's Bagel Run is. So let me explain what I mean. I see a lot of complaints that Jeff's Bagel Run doesn't toast bagels. Not a lot of complaints, just a lot of complaints from a few people that keep complaining. And they're a bakery. Okay, the cream cheese that they give you is in a little container. They give you a knife. It's a very nice thing that they offer. But they're not there as a restaurant. They're there as your local bagel shop. And they have some conveniences. So they don't have to toast your bagel. Just like when you go into a bakery and they hand you a loaf of bread, you don't tell them to put it back in the oven to toast it because they just baked it. These bagels just came out of the oven. So while I would, debate you on whether a fresh bagel needs to be toasted, it doesn't. If you like it toasted, this is America. Take it home and toast your bagel. However, the New York bakery boys, they're more of a restaurant that sells bagels. So if you live in Oviedo, you can go there and they will happily toast your bagel. So there's a good place for you. And they apparently get their bagels in from New York.
Yep.
Like already formed, and I think they boil and bake them in the shop, or
Are
they parboiled?
Yeah, they're parboiled, and then they finish them off in their bakery.
Which I'm always skeptical about, but I have to tell you, this is the second time. When they first opened, I ran in there and I just grabbed a bagel, and I think that they were worried, like that I was going to be one of those haters. I just took it in the car with me and ate it, and I was like, this actually is a good bagel. And I had them again today, and all of those qualities were there. Good crust. Dough balls, easy from the inside. So whatever they're doing over there, check them out because they do sandwiches and whatever. You're not going to want to go there if you want to buy 24 bagels. You're going to want to go somewhere else. But if you just want a bagel like with eggs on it or something, I definitely would say go check them out.
And they also have another location in Celebration.
Oh, there you go.
And what's funny, and this is one of the good things about Amy Drew and I is like, I did not tell her. We talked about how we were going to meet and talk bagels, when we decided when we were trying to schedule our time. And I happened to tell one of my friends who lives near the New York bakery boys and told me, oh yeah, there's a place that just opened around my corner. So I went and mind you, I went like at 1:30. So like I knew they were closing and I just walked in and I just said, give me like 2 bagels. And I grabbed 2 bagels, put them in a bag, and ate them just to see what it was. Like I wanted to do the tear test. Like, did it have that? Does it have the chew where it like kind of, where it's the chewiness, what is the sheen? I just kind of wanted to see. Cause when I went in there, they're like in baskets. It's not like, it's literally like they have them there. And I was like, okay, this is legit. Like this isn't bread. This isn't a bread with a hole in it. And then when I mentioned it to Amy Drew, she was like, oh yeah, I was thinking about eating at that place where I checked it out and I wanted to try it again. So I was like, oh great. I'm like, let's go and I'm gonna pick some up so we can have some. And yeah, I mean it's got all the characteristics that we're looking for. If it's, depending on where you're at and where you want to go. If you're in Celebration, you can go there. If you got an Oviedo spot, there's you got some choices now in Oviedo.
I need to inject a disclaimer. I've tried nothing else there, but the bagels, because that was really what was important to me.
Yeah.
The bagels, and I love to be a skeptic about the whole, everything's not done on site, was very, very good.
Yeah.
So I would go there in a pinch
to get bagels.
Probably
or to grab a bagel.
I don't know. I'm not sure how many they would sell. It might kill you. I don't know how they work their pricing. But the most important thing is the bagel was good, and if you like toasted bagels, they will do that for you there.
Yes.
Because they're more of a restaurant.
Correct. Yeah, and I have not had a sandwich or anything like that there at all.
So I can't speak to any of that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Bagels were good.
Yeah, that's kind of all I know is bagels. And then obviously the last place that we also went to was, which has been here forever, the longest out of all the bagel places, Bagel King, which they've had a few locations. I know they have I went to Bagel King Jr. in Winter Park. There's another one, obviously the main one off of Cimarron and Castleberry area. Is their main location.
And this is where I want to kind of get off bagels just for 5 seconds.
Sure.
Because Bagel King is actually a really great place to go for breakfast and lunch.
Yes.
It really is. So
it's not,
this is like
just
a real
not bagel.
sit down.
Yeah. Not just for bagels, even though they have great bagels.
But this is the nice thing about Bagel King.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this one's a bakery, this one's a restaurant. This one's both.
Yeah.
It's a dessert topping and a floor wax, for those of you who get that reference.
Nice.
You can go in there and sit down and have like a salad. You can have lunch that has nothing to do with bagels.
Correct.
It's kind of diner-ish.
Yeah.
It smacks of a diner.
Yeah, it's definitely great for breakfast. Like whenever I've had breakfast numerous times there, and they have great breakfast. And if you don't want to,
I like the salads. They have like big diner-sized salads. But you can also go in there and get a dozen bagels and some, cream cheese and whatever, and just skate and leave. You don't have to do. So they have both. There you go. Best of both worlds.
One of the things I love that they do at Bagel King when you get a breakfast, especially if you like at the Andy, I think is like what their breakfast sandwiches.
Don't know it.
they have like I think it's called the Andy. But one of the things that I love is, and that I've had there before, that I was like, ooh, this is game changer, was bacon. Bacon is great, but they have pastrami. So they do like the strips of pastrami on it instead. So I was like able to do like an egg
it's
sandwich.
Like pastrami and eggs.
Yes.
I like pastrami.
And that was, I was like, oh, this is underrated.
Sandwich?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm just not.
Yeah, I know. You don't like bagel sandwiches.
Yeah,
I get it. You like the Kaiser roll, and so do I. But
I could do it.
But I mean,
I don't hate it.
And the thing I like, and I will say, I like the idea of a Kaiser roll too. But like for bagels, it works. Like, you know, it works as a breakfast sandwich because it's all breakfasty things. So I get it.
I know it's hard to believe, but maybe it's just that I have a small mouth. I don't know, because it's like it's basically 2 bites of bagel plus whatever's in the sandwich. That's like a lot.
Which then means why it would make sense that you kind of eat it in halves.
Yeah, I like you know, open face tuna fish on a bagel. So good.
Which we talked about last episode on it.
Love it.
So, I mean, they do a really good job. I think those are the 3 places we went and grabbed and visited. Mm-hmm. And obviously, one of the things that I started doing was, before I would, like, when I find a place, I would then go online and look and see, like, do they say it? Because pretty much a lot of places will be like, hey, we boil our bagels, or some places will just be like, hey, we bake them, and
some places just are like, we get it from New York, and they're very defensive.
Yes.
I'd watch out for those.
We do. Yeah, that's amazing. That was an amazing aspect to be able to go and ask someone, and people how they react to it. It's like almost like they're offended, or how dare you look at my bagel.
Right. I should be allowed to ask you about your food. You should be excited to tell me about your food. You should be ready to be an advocate for your food.
Heck yeah. Like, oh man, it's so good. We make it. We get here early in the morning and we boil the hell out of this thing for 3 to 5 minutes. And then we put it in the nice oven and get it nice and crispy for you, or nice and toasted.
Yeah. Sell me.
Yeah.
Sell me. Don't be angry that I asked a question.
Exactly. So, and then I'm kind of curious on when, let's say you're home or you're not in the car, how are you usually enjoying your bagel? Like, in most cases, like if it's fresh, if I get it fresh from, like I just picked them up and I brought them over, like when we did today, I'm not toasting my bagel. I'm basically just going to cut it and eat it.
Fresh bagels toasted, especially in the morning. Oh my gosh. I kind of treated you to that.
Yes.
Bagels have a lot of calories. So it is very indulgent. Very often when I have them, I'll consider having them, because I always have some in my freezer, which are then okay to toast, I should say. But I opt out a lot. So today I ate bagels, obviously, but I love lox and cream cheese, and I love so much herring. Pickled herring with onions and cream sauce, and I put some chives on it. And this is one of my favorite little indulgent bagel things. I don't know why. They just go so well together. The fish is firm and cold, and there's creaminess, and there's that wonderful onion flavor, that pickled onion flavor, that wine sauce flavor. And this was your first time having it.
It was.
So I want to get your take so you can tell all the noobs out there and sell them on this incredibly good treat.
I thought it was delicious. Like I looked at it and I was like, okay, I'm like, I could totally, I mean, a lot of people sometimes will kind of, I guess, fend off. I'm like, ooh, it looks creamy. I don't know if I want creamy, but it's like literally, I will be making this at home for my wife to be able to enjoy, because it was super good. And like,
especially if you like lox and cream cheese, you should really give this a shot.
Yes. And what I loved about it, what you did was, and how you kind of did it, because obviously it's very like, so very, you have like the jar, and you'll be able to tell people how you kind of made it. But what I loved about it is, and the thought process behind it, because I know it's something that your dad would make, is the fact of like the onions, like the raw onions. You would add the raw onions, so you have like that crunchiness to it. And then a little bit of, and then what I also like is, depending on how you like it, if you like it a little bit more runny or thicker because of the sour cream, she pours a little bit of the pickled juice, like that's in from the herring.
Yeah, it's like a pickled wine sauce that the fish sits in the jar. And once I mix in the sour cream, I'll use some of that liquid to sort of thin it out a little, and it becomes almost like a sauce. Yeah, and instead of like a thick sour cream. Let
me tell you, it was delicious. I kept, and the cool thing about it is, and then I even asked her, because I started asking, because since I've never had it, I was like, hey, I'm like, how do you usually have this? Because the first time I did it, I literally just like scooped it onto the top of my half of my bagel, so I can enjoy it. But then I also saw, I'm like, as you start taking, as you're taking the pickled, the herring, and it's kind of like there's little pieces and stuff, then it becomes almost like you can kind of grab pieces of bread almost and just dip it in there and kind of, and man, it was
Grab
good.
up those little onions.
Yeah.
And stuff.
I mean, it was good.
It's really good. That's what this is one of the things my dad would make, well, like kind of half make, because you buy the jar and then you add your own fresh sour cream, and then there's already pickled onions in the sauce, but he would always slice up thin a little bit of fresh, white or yellow onion. I use yellow onion today. Fresh onion, and it just adds that extra little bit of fresh crunch in there. And then you saw that I cut green onion.
She made me feel special. She actually has like a pot in her backyard and grabbed some and cut some up and added like a little extra garnish action for it.
Well, it just doesn't, it's white. It's just like a big white blob, so it doesn't look as pretty as some other foods. So a little bit of green onion or chives or something on top will always make it look prettier if you want to do that whole Instagram thing before you chow down. Which
we will share pictures, because we did take some pictures. But yeah, it was killer. I'm like, I definitely agree. If you like bagels, lox and all of that, you should definitely give it a try. I think especially if you're going to it's very easy to make, and it's delicious. It's an extra, and
they usually sell it right where they sell the lox or the smoked salmon in your supermarket. They'll have a jar of that herring right there. They sell it already in cream sauce. I don't buy that one. I just buy the one in the wine sauce, and then I add my own cream at home. It's
create your own, so that way you can kind of control how you like it.
Mm-hmm. It's just fresher.
Yeah, I like that.
Good stuff.
It's definitely will be on my. I'll be picking up and making. We may have to have you next time you make another batch of it. We may have to maybe record it.
Okay, we could do that.
So we can show people to see.
We could do that. I'll be like Susie the foodie, not. Nobody's like her.
She's ridiculous.
Then maybe I could get 35 hits.
She's
to her 35 million.
She's amazing. She does some good stuff. I truly props to her, by the way. If anyone's listening and knows her, tell her we love her.
Her video skills, her fingernails, they're all beautiful.
No. We're fans here. If you have not cannot tell, we're definitely fans here. So yeah, I mean, it was great. It was great for our first time kind of being able to meet and talk and eat food. We obviously did not record us eating because
that's gross.
Yeah, we're not into the mukbanging aspect of you seeing us eat. That's what it's called.
Is that
by
actually
the way.
a
That
term?
is what it's called, mukbang. Yes, and a lot of attractive people think that it's and basically watch them eat is what it is.
Like people, is that like that's worse than watching people play video games? That makes even less sense than that.
Video games, at least you're watching them and maybe watching what they're doing, but I mean, you're really just watching someone masticate and eat. It's not really the same thing.
Just even saying that made me wince. You didn't see it, but I just made a face like ew.
So it's funny that you say this because I have been told, not by many, but I have been told, people have asked me like, we'd love to see you eat a sandwich. And I was like, I was like, I don't know if I'm like, maybe, I guess, I don't know. Like I'll take a bite of sandwich, but I don't know if you'd want to see me
do
eat
that whole Paris Hilton hamburger thing on the car.
Yeah, well, I don't think anyone wants to see that from me, but I mean, if you do, thank you. Please tell me.
There's something for everybody. I guarantee you there are people out there who'd want to watch that.
I bet. But I can definitely tell you that my wife will not be the one recording me, and it won't, because she hates the sound of chewing of mouth and anything like that.
Yeah, I don't want to see that either.
Yeah, which is funny because every time I talk to my wife and tell my wife,
not just you, anybody.
No. I know that. I didn't take an offense to that, but I laugh because every time I talk to my wife, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go talk about this food, and then she's like, but you're not gonna chew and eat and talk on the mic, right? I'm like, no. She's like, I'm not into that ASMR chewing of hearing you chew. And I was like, no. I'm like, it won't happen. So yeah. You got anything else you want to wrap up with the bagel topic?
Only that we should do this more often because it's very fun to sit in the same room with you. I know, time constraints and everybody's busy and all that, but we should really do this more often. And soon, we had planned on it. It ended up, some stuff happened, so we couldn't do it. But we were going to take the show on the road this week.
Yeah.
So look for us to be doing that in the next couple.
We are. We're going to do that.
With guests.
Yes.
So it won't just be us yammering.
We'll try to have some guests. We may even have like maybe a hot mic, and we'll just have people be able to come up and talk to us.
Yes. Oh my God, that's a great idea.
Which would be kind of a fun thing to do. Have a third mic and just be like hot mic, and anyone can just kind of come up and ask a question, and we kind of go from there.
I'm before that.
Okay. I like that. We'll definitely have to do this. Well, that's our show. That's our show for today. You'll enjoy. I love to hear your thoughts. You'll see some video of us talking and things like that, maybe with some images of bagels. Love to know what your thoughts are, how you kind of how you characterize, or where your favorite bagel place is that we should check out that we have not. So you'll be able to hear this and hopefully be able to see and check it out. Once again, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate everyone. We appreciate all the comments. Definitely leave a review if you haven't.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, share your friends.
We can take it.
Yeah. And if not, and if you don't have anything nice to say, then DM us and tell us.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier that way if you don't want to, because I feel like, or if not, make it public. I don't care. Just give me some review. Give us something.
Yeah,
Let us know.
We want feedback, constructive criticism. We're all open to it. We're finding our way, peeps.
Yeah. But thank you so much. Thanks for listening to another episode of Let's Eat Orlando with
Amy Drew
and Biggie. Have a good one, guys.